In this edition of The Social Impact with Keenan Williams,
he explores the thin line between being too conceited versus being confident enough to allow others to overtake oneself.
welcome to The Social Impact. When is someone humble enough, and when does someone cross that border and become too meek and seen by others as shy? Also, when it comes to confidence, what is termed as too much confidence compared to being conceited? Now, sometimes I would feel like I'm too humble in a particular situation where I was actually lacking confidence. You should know what I mean when it comes to this. It's like I'm downplaying my skills and talents and abilities, and I know that how good I am, but I wouldn't want to be seen as conceited, so I play down my talents. But where do we draw the line when it comes to being meek and humble while being confident compared to being an attention seeker and conceited? Now, I for one can blow my own trumpet and say that I'm a brilliant radio producer and on-air personality, as well as, in my opinion, have a great voice for this medium. However, I wouldn't go out and boast about it to everyone. You know my skills, and I know it too. I just find it very frustrating at times, especially when I know how good I am and how good my skills and efforts are, but it seems like it's not recognized, neither does it feel like it is appreciated. For one, I have a dream to be back on air again. That's besides doing this podcast, but it seems like every door that I knock on is locked, and every window which I try to break into is double glazed and shatterproof. I would then tune into and listen to a particular radio station, especially those which I would apply to and hear a new trainee presenter on the airwaves, and think to myself, good talent, but I could do better. Is this thinking to myself of saying, okay, good talent, but I could do better, is this jealousy on my part? Am I taking someone else's happiness away from them by being envious of them? It brings me back to my question of earlier. When does someone go over the limit of being too confident and self-believing compared to being too humble, which may classify you as being too shy? There is a thin line between the two scenarios and personalities. I certainly don't want to be seen as someone who is boastful and conceited, neither do I want to be recognized as someone who is shy and introverted, and someone who remains in his shell. I would often look at myself in various circumstances. In a more informal and casual setting, I would be a more quiet guy, listening to the conversations of others. This too tends to be in my work setting, where I would be very quiet. I'd be a guy that listens. I would observe what is happening. However, when I'm tasked to be behind the microphone as an on-air presenter, or in a restaurant, or on stage as an entertainer, my persona changes completely. So I could be seen as someone who is confident, but then to others, someone who lacks that confidence. As I mentioned earlier, the line between being confident and being seen as someone who is introverted is very, very thin. But a mix of both worlds can be good for us too. Sometimes being too over the top can sometimes blind us from seeing and appreciating the real gems of life right in front of us. Introvertedness, if that's even a word, could also be seen as a way of us working on ourselves, to reflect, to listen, to take a breath, and then to do what we do best by being ourselves, loving ourselves, respecting ourselves, and then eventually doing likewise to others. My stance is very, very strong regarding being too conceited and boastful compared to being confident. Now, confidence is important. However, humility and confidence work all the better. I absolutely hate people who are big brags. those who pull down others because they want to be seen and heard. Sometimes, just sometimes, there is time for silence, a time to listen, a time to reflect, and a time to allow others to go ahead of you. So even though I may be tuning into those radio stations and knowing that I could do a better job than those trainee presenters, it is not for me to be jealous and envious of them. Neither is it for me to belittle them or think of myself to be any better than them. We will only be able to understand the middle of that line between confidence and being boastful when we do our best in everything that we are tasked to do and allow others to do theirs. Sometimes downplaying our talent for the sake of sanity for others can work a world of wonders in taking us to a place of peace. I'm not saying don't go out and have dreams and ambitions. I'm saying that it is sometimes for us to work together in getting others to achieve their destinies and then eventually achieve our destiny.